Welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Angel, your co-host, here with your host, starting at center, Pete Weller.
Hey, Chris. How you doing today?
I kind of wanted a fog machine and some indoor fireworks.
Some music, because we're going to dive deep down into some dirt today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, this one, this could be convicting. I don't know if you guys listening to this, I know you need this, so stick around. Today, Pete, we're talking about what you call your money map. What is a money map?
Well, a money map is the way that you can actually picture money flowing through you, through your business, through your personal finances, to achieve your dreams and your goals. And I believe that you need to hold every dollar accountable. So the way that a money map works is it says, I know where it's coming from, I know where I want it to go, and when it comes in, I can direct it. So it's part of actually, Tanya Waring talks about it in her manifesting mindset, that you can actually manifest stuff. And this is the way that my mind worked to be able to manifest things that I really desired. And it also allowed me to open up the conversation with my wife to be able to say, this is what I want to do.
What was the catalyst for you sort of finding this way to think about money?
That's a heavy question.
Well,
Throw down.
Yes, throw down.
So Chris, first 90 days in real estate, I did one transaction. I sold my townhome with my ex-wife, right?
Oh, man. Yeah.
$500 commission went to my transaction coordinator, zero money. Woohoo! I'm in real estate, right?
Yeah.
So, what happened over the next 9 months? I did 12 transactions as a brand new real estate agent. Okay. How many deals do most brand new agents do in their first year?
2?
4 transactions.
4.
That's the national average. So there's agents out there that did 0. I did 12.
Yeah.
Here's the fun part. How much do you think I set aside for the IRS?
0.
0.
Yeah.
So what started the conversation around this? Year number 2, when we sat down with the tax time. You know what? My good buddy Hank of Ink up out of Michigan with the National Coaching League and 36 to Life. Guess what happened? You can't out-earn stupid. What did I try? I sure tried to out-earn stupid.
Yeah.
So we buried ourselves. We buried ourselves in debt, and we buried ourselves in IRS taxes. Mm-hmm. So starting year number 3, I took a job inside real estate as a team leader for a large franchise. Mm-hmm. It gave me a base salary to be able to stabilize my income.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and go, what in the world did I get myself into while still staying in real estate?
Yeah.
And I started coaching other people. I noticed that I not only had the gap, but 97% of the agents that I interviewed had the exact same problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chris, this is a problem.
Yep.
And it's something that we can fix. And it's just being smart with our money right off the bat.
So here's the question. Is the money map specifically like a map? Like, is it like do you draw out like funnels of like, here comes some money in and here's where it goes? Like, what do we call it? Okay. So that's the money map. Okay.
You actually draw out, and you can do it a couple of different ways. So one of the things that we do with the money map is, how do I want to make money?
Yeah.
Okay. These are my sources of income. So if we read Robert Kiyosaki's books and any major finance, they start talking about having multiple streams of income.
Yep.
So at the top of the money map are your multiple streams of income.
Okay.
Now we might be starting out with 1.
Yeah.
Now we think of these as buckets.
Right. Yeah. I like that.
Okay. And what happens with a bucket? When it gets full, it flows into the next one.
Okay. Yeah.
You can hear the bottom of it tink, right? Tink.
Right. Yeah.
So the first thing that we got to do is we got to fill the first bucket up. Our first bucket is called a depository.
Okay.
So all of the money goes into the depository account.
Yep. Okay.
After that, we've got to pay out several different things.
Hang on. And literally an account, like a bank account. Like there is a bank account that everything gets deposited into. That's what you're saying, right?
So the first thing that we want to do is we want to set the map so we know where we're going. Mm-hmm. And then we turn around and we can sit down with our financial people and say, this is what I want to do. How do I structure my bank accounts?
Yeah.
How do I structure my activities? So when you're having a conversation with your coach, how do I structure my activities to achieve these things?
Yep. Yep.
And one of the things that most people forget is the first person they need to pay is themselves. The second entity they need to pay is the taxes.
When you say pay yourself, are you saying like from the depository account, you'd actually move or siphon money into a separate account that is hard to get to?
Yeah, so you move it from the depository to an owner's draw / equity account.
Okay.
So that's the second bucket.
Got it.
This is the bucket that you're going to pay yourself out of.
Yeah.
This is also the bucket that you can reinvest into your business depending on the standards that you set, the minimum and the maximum around the standard.
That money, the intention of that money though is what? To be saved, to be invested, to be spent? That's not my household budget, right? Like I'm not putting it there to then spend it through my household budget monthly.
It's for your owner's draw, which you would pull out to pay for your household, or it's for you to invest in your business for the next thing that's going to elevate your business.
Okay.
So like me hiring you.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that I've got food on the table before I hired an advertising firm to be able to help me out with stuff.
Right. Okay.
So until this bucket's full enough,
yeah,
where it's taking care of me,
yeah,
I can't turn around and do something like that.
Got it. Okay, good. All right, good. That's actually a different bucket then. Like to hire an advertising thing is different than paying yourself where you're going to take care of your monthly.
Correct. So out of this, we've got the depository. It goes to ourselves.
Yep.
Then we have our operating account.
Okay.
Our operating account takes care of our license fees, our MLS, the light bill if you've got any fees.
Got it. Business expenses.
Business expenses, office expenses.
Yeah.
And then after that, then we can start looking at other things that we would like to add into it.
Got it. Okay.
Now, I've got one for travel. You and I travel frequently, so I've got to make sure I've got money set aside for travel. And then I've got one for meals and entertainment.
An account?
Yes.
Okay.
It's so when I look at my phone, I can look at my meals and entertainment, and I know if I can have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Steak dinner. Yeah.
First month, I'm like, I can have a good time.
Yeah.
At the end of the month, it's like, hey, we need to look at, being a little bit more reserved on this.
I like this idea of, and I've heard other people talk about this around money, having different accounts or sub accounts where like it actually represents, the account represents the category of spending.
Correct.
I like that a lot. How many accounts does somebody end up having though? Because I think you could end up with like, a ton of accounts.
So with just my business, currently I have 7 accounts.
Okay.
And I'll go through those in the rest of the money map. And then we move over to the personal side, and there's currently 6 sitting right there.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's not like exhaustive. I mean, that's manageable.
And it's categories that work for me. So everybody's map looks a little bit different. Everybody's categories look a little bit different.
Yeah.
And the object here is to get off of debt.
Yeah.
So that you are debt free, that you've got just a cash flow on business.
Yeah.
And you're paying everything up front. Because when you pay cash or you have access to that liquidity, life gets easier. Because you actually make more money when you stop putting it on a credit card. Right.
Yeah. It's good.
So what other things happen on the money map? We've got the depository. We've got the owner's draw. If you, depending on how you file your taxes, you could have a tax withholding account here. That's a savings account to be able to pay your quarterlies, your operating expenses, travel, food. Then we move over to the personal side. How do we want the money to flow through the personal? Well, we've got household expenses. If you're paying if you're a LLC, you'd be paying yourself an income. So you need to have a tax holding account for those taxes over on the personal side, because it's really a personal tax, not a business tax.
Yeah.
And then things like, meals and entertainment, fuel, automobile. I mean, Chris, do you drive an automobile or do you ride a horse?
I drive an automobile.
Is it going to break?
Yeah.
Yep. Right? So do you know how often it's going to break?
Nope.
Do you know when?
Nope.
What's the most expensive thing on your vehicle to replace if it breaks?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's either the engine or the transmission.
Okay.
So my wife drives a 2002 F-250. Okay. The engine and the transmission are the most expensive. To replace that engine is $6,800 and some change.
Hmm.
So if I have $6,800 in that account,
Yep.
I could take care of any repair on that thing if it broke.
Got it. And that bucket stays with that 6,800 in it, so that, and then if like, let's say it was not that 6,800, it was like 2,000, and so 2,000 go out of that bucket, you're at 4,800 now.
Then you fill it back up to 60.
Fill it back up, right? Yeah.
So that's a minimum standard. What's the maximum thing that could break on a vehicle that you would be willing to fix? Okay, so that's $6,800. That's the baseline for that.
Okay.
What's the maximum? Chris priced out a 2018 F-250 4-door with the liner and all the luxury stuff.
No.
$55,000 to $85,000 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's more than my first house. So if we start setting money aside to be able to purchase that,
right?
The dealer's going to give me a better deal, or I can find something if I can pay cash for it, or if I finance that at even 4% interest, what do I pay over the course of 7 years?
Right.
That $75,000 truck is now $125,000.
Yeah.
Why not pay the extra $50,000 to yourself and set some money aside for that stuff?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the question that I always have. I don't think I've ever actually answered this for myself now. So one of the things that, as I like this idea of accounts, but I don't get paid in such a way where like I can fill all the buckets at once. Like, how do I decide what bucket to fill first? And what if it's not fully full, but I still have needs to over in these other buckets that have to get done? You understand what I'm saying? Like, how do I decide how to fill those?
So let's look at this. Awareness is clarity in and of itself. Would you agree?
Yep.
So if we have clarity on what we need, then we can start with what will naturally happen is we start spending less on things that we don't need.
Okay.
So when you pull the money out, the debit card, and you look at it and go, man, you know, I've only got $100 in this meal and food, and this meal that I just invited into is going to be $75.
Right.
It's the 10th of the month. That means I got $25 to go for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
And we can't go to dinner here. Can we go to Chili's?
Right.
We're going to make it so that you can stretch that money farther because you start paying attention to it.
Yeah, it's good.
How quickly we can access our finances, that we actually got away from the pain of how much money things cost.
Yeah.
So because we can throw down the card, we can make more. So which one do we fill first? Well, we fill to make sure that we can take care of all of our personal household stuff. And then we fill to make sure that we can take care of our operating expenses.
Yeah.
And then we start letting it overflow.
Got it.
Because you have good months and bad months, right?
Yep. Right.
So part of the money map is actually looking down and writing down every expense over the next 12 months that you're going to pay out of your business and your personal and get a total.
Yeah. You could actually go back in the last 12 months if you've been in business long enough and sort of get a baseline of what you've already spent and use that moving forward as a baseline. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people, it's like, how do you know when you make too much money? That's the theory behind this, because if you don't have enough time, you're making too much money. It's one of those net life now. We had a little bit of a conversation around this.
Yeah.
This is an indicator. How do you know that you've arrived at net life? When the buckets are full and you can do what you want.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's a daily goal. So I got freedom from looking at this and saying, look, how far can I drive my real estate costs down? $550 a month is what I got my real estate business down to costing per month.
Wow. Nice.
Right? Here's an agent that's, you know, October 1st, I'm going to start my 5th year in, $550 a month. That's how much I cover. So one commission takes care of all years worth of my operating expenses.
Wow. Yeah.
So now I know if I've got a year in there, that the rest can go straight over to my personal finances and fill the buckets.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the next cool thing comes up that I really want to do, I've got to set some money aside, put it away, and then I can pay that off.
I love how visual this is. Like, you know, I'm a pretty visual guy, and sometimes the hurdle in money is that it's not visual. It's all like, it doesn't work for me visually. I love how visual this is. Pete, this is, I mean, for the sake of time, like we could keep exploring this, but I think what would be a good next step for people is for people, if they're curious about creating their own money map, I would imagine this is the kind of work that you do with clients. Yep. Where can people go to?
This is the passion work. So I actually will do the money map, no charge with anybody at any moment in time.
Wow.
It takes, 60 minutes to sit down and go through it. And then generally have another 30-minute call to be able to answer any questions they have around it.
Wow.
So 2 hours invested into this total conversation.
Yeah.
I see so many people get freedom and flexibility and mindset around this, that this is my passion work. So for them to get a hold of me, www.kindalikepete.com, KINDALIKE Pete.com.
Yeah.
Scroll down, schedule some time with me. For a money map, we need 60 minutes. It's best to do it on a Zoom call, so schedule that online.
Yeah.
And then you schedule your 30-minute call about a week out, and we'll go from there.
I love it. Wow, so good. Guys, that is so much value. Like, to have that from Pete for free, that's crazy value, Pete. That's awesome. Well, your money map, that is what this episode is about. You guys need to start dialing in, like I do, where your money's coming from, where it's going, and how you manage that visually for yourself. So go to kindalikepete.com, schedule time with Pete. And Pete, thanks for your time today. Thanks for your passion.
Chris, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Catch you in the next one. See ya.
Absolutely.